the assistant principal.
Okay.
How did this case come to you guys?
This case was reported through some students at Stuart Kramer. There was some chatter amongst students that were passed back and forth, which made its way to school administration, which then got reported to us.
There's a lot of talk among people. She's well thought of, highly claimed. How thorough were you guys in your investigation? How certain are you that these charges are adequate?
It's a very thorough investigation. We don't make charges unless we know that we have evidence that we can proceed to court with. We consulted with DA Lockbell before we made any charges. So there was an investigation completed, there were interviews completed, and we're very certain of the evidence that we have.
A lot of times these folks will communicate, they think they're communicating clandestine, Snapchat or something like that. Is that the case in this case?
I can't comment on that due to the nature of the investigation.
How do we know that these two came to meet, the victim and the suspect in this case?
In this case, from our understanding, there were some tutoring. The assistant principal in this case was helping the young man with some issues as far as school.
Our understanding is that this school was not the scene of the crime for this. Do we know what was the scene?
Yes, but due to the investigation, I can't release that.
How helpful was he in this investigation for you guys?
Again, being 17 years old, I'm not gonna be able to release that information.
Okay. How helpful was she?
She was cooperative when we spoke with her.
When I saw her Friday, she looked like she understood the level of trouble that she was in. Did she give you guys that indication?
I wasn't present during the interview, but my understanding was she was cooperative. She spoke with our detectives during the investigation.
Did she make an admission by any chance?
I can't comment on that.
Okay. These cases, we see teachers. We don't often see administrators. How rare is that for you?
I've only been in CIU for about 6 months. This would be the first case that I've dealt with involving an administrator such as that.
Next steps for you. Are you guys done with the investigation?
No, we're not. There'll still be forensics interviews or forensics evidence gathering, going through cell phones, looking at cell phone records, just gathering more evidence to corroborate what we already have.
And also in this case, you guys had, I assume, a search warrant conducted. What kind of things were you looking for, and where were you looking for information that would help you build this case?
At this point, there has not been a search warrant executed on any records as we know that I'm aware of. The investigation was based on interviews between the people involved.
So there was some strong evidence to come out of the interviews then for you guys not to have a search warrant executed.
At this point, like I said, we've not gotten into the forensics part of it and getting the search warrants executed on the mobile devices, those type of things. But also in those points, sometimes we don't have to have a search warrant when you have cooperation from victims or from witnesses or from suspects. If they're willing to consent to a search of their electronic media, you don't necessarily have to have a search warrant.
Do we know if that was the case this time, that they consented to searches?
At this point, like I said, it's ongoing investigation, so I can't release that information.
Kevin, do you have any questions about this?
Sir, can you tell me when you first became aware, when did that first call come into the police department?
At the end of the week.
At the end of last week?
Yes, sir.
So this was a fairly quick turnaround?
Correct, it was.
And she was working every day up until Friday?
As far as I know, she was.
Okay. And when she came in, did y'all pick her up or did she turn herself in? Did you ask her to come down?
We went and interviewed her in, my understanding, in Charlotte.
At her house?
Yes,
And then brought her in from Charlotte?
correct.
Do you have any, was this young man a student? You said he was 17. Was he a student at Stuart Kramer?
Yes.
Is he still a student there?
At this point, I cannot release that information.
But he was a student during the investigation?
He was a student during the time that the time period that the crimes were allegedly occurred.
Okay. Do you have any information about any other children involved, any other students?
At this point, no, sir.
And this arose out of chatter among students, and then made its way to the administration and then to you.
Correct.
That's a lot of
Are
traffic.
people, when something like this happens, are you surprised? I mean, young people talk. I mean, that's what young people do.
Right.
Are you surprised that people would risk this behavior?
I can't comment on what other people would do, but I would not put my career at risk for, or I wouldn't put my career and everything that I'd worked for on the line for some type of relationship like this. But I can't comment on as to what this lady was thinking. I have no clue.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.